Hello my viewers, this is Shiny here with another Hex Maniac Advance tutorial. In this video I have basic tutorial number 6, Trainer Editing. In this video I'm going to be touring you through the trainer table in Hex Maniac Advance. I'll show you everything there is to edit about trainers, including their Pokemon, their names, what classes they have, their AI, their sprites, and rematches. Before starting the tutorial, I would like to show you Hex Maniac Advance's GitHub page. In case you don't have the latest version of Hex Maniac Advance, I advise you to follow along so that you have all of the latest features and a vast majority of the known bugs fixed. To get Hex Maniac Advance, first go to github.com/haven1433/hexmaniacadvance. I'm going to fixate on the Releases tab, which is on the right hand side of the GitHub page. Clicking on the hyperlink will take me to the Releases page where all of the public releases for Hex Maniac Advance will be available for download. The topmost version that you see is the latest public release of Hex Maniac Advance. If you scroll down a bit, you will have multiple download links. Download the x64 version if you have a 64-bit PC, or download the x86 version if you have a 32-bit PC. Get the debug version if you want to make Hex Maniac Advance better by finding glitches in the software. Lastly, you're also going to need a thing called .NET 6 Desktop Runtime. By going to the link that I will provide in the description, you'll be bombarded with a bunch of .NET 6 things that you can download. Please scroll down until you see Desktop Runtime and download the version that best matches your operating system. You're going to download an installer, and once it's finished downloading, please run it, and you'll actually be able to get the .NET 6 features that Hex Maniac Advance depends on. Now I'm going to introduce you to the trainers table in Hex Maniac Advance. Now if you want to go to any place in the ROM, click the edit button and scroll down to where it says go to, or what you can do is click the house icon that's between utilities and tools, and that will take you to the go to menu. Type in the word trainers to filter your results, and find the trainer stats under the data button. So it's data, click trainers, and click stats. Alternatively, what you can do is click the big trainers button and it will take you to the same place as you were before. Each trainer has a variety of fields that you can edit. You will see them all grouped together on the left hand side of the application, and on the right hand side in the Hex Content Viewer, you will see all of the data being formatted like a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet is really long. Each row is a different trainer in the game. There are over 800 of them, and each column is an attribute about each trainer. All of these trainers that you see are spread throughout the game. There are many duplicates that account for rematches and alternative loadouts that trainers may have. Now I'm going to be modifying one of the trainers in the game. Just an FYI, do not edit this hiker that does not have a name. He's the very first one in the list, and he's supposed to be considered like a dummy or a template for the other trainers in the game. If you try to battle this trainer, things will just go wrong because the game is hard-coded to not allow this trainer to work properly. All of the other trainers are safe to edit. For this tutorial, I'm going to be editing Roxanne, and one thing you could do is click this long bar that's between previous and next. You can actually type to filter the names of the trainers. In this case, there are 5 Roxanne trainer slots, and I'm going to pick the first one because I know the other 4 are rematches. Note that the leader trainer class allows it so that if you're fighting this trainer in-game, it always plays the gym leader battle theme. Real quick, I'm going to mention trainer struct types, which are basically restrictions on what trainer Pokemon can have. We have normal, moves, items, and both. Moves means that trainer Pokemon can have custom movesets, but not custom held items. Items is the opposite. Trainer Pokemon can have held items, but they default to their level up moves, no matter what. Normal means that trainer Pokemon can't have either, and both means that there are no restrictions. I can edit any of the attributes in the table group or in the Hex Content Viewer. So I'll click on the Item 1 field and replace the potion with a fresh water. I can type directly in the field my item of choice, and it will filter my results. I can also scroll a little to the right in the spreadsheet and replace the second potion with a soda pop. I can also replace the 8 question marks in the item 3 field with a lemonade. so that Roxanne has 3 items to pick from. I also made her a double battle instead of a single battle, just like her rematches. And there even is an AI flag for double battles. For the most part, you're only going to see the first 3 AI flags checked for a lot of the trainers. Check bad move, try to KO, and check viability. I will put on screen all of the relevant AI flags and what they do, and you can pause the video if you want to take a look. Now I'm going to modify Roxanne's team so it's a little bit more wacky. If I change the Pokemon count field from 3 to 2, you will notice that the bottommost Pokemon just gets erased from existence. Even if I set the Pokemon count field to 4, all you'll get are just extra copies of the bottommost Pokemon Geodude. Don't get freaked out over data being moved to free space. That happens a lot in Hex Maniac Advance. It's just an alert and nothing bad is happening. Hex Maniac Advance is very smart when it comes to moving data that's suddenly too large for its original location. To change the species of a trainer Pokemon, you can highlight the name of the Pokemon, for instance Geodude, and type in a new name. By typing the first 4 letters of Aerodactyl, A-E-R-O, you will see Aerodactyl's sprite, but for good measure, I will type the filtered result that Hex Maniac Advance shows me, which is Aerodactyl. Let's change some of their moves. You just highlight the original move that you want to replace, for instance Tackle, and you give it a new move. In this tutorial, I gave this Aerodactyl Wing Attack, Dragon Claw, and Scary Face. And the Geodude already had Rock Tomb, so I don't need to change it necessarily. What you can do is follow the arrowhead that's after the Pokemon field, and it will take you to exactly where all of the Pokemon data is stored in the ROM. You can customize Pokemon, moves, level, etc. directly in the Hex content viewer itself. Here, I make a Solrock that is holding a choice band and knows nothing but self-destruct. If on the off chance you want a Pokemon with less than 4 moves, you type a 0 into a move slot you don't want to have a move there and hit enter. The move slot will be replaced by a hyphen, which indicates that there is no move there. By clicking on the road that corresponds to the Solrock, you can also see in the table panel all of the changes we have made, as well as the Solrock's level and how many IVs it has in each stat. Next, I add a Regirock to Roxanne's team. Very quickly, I edit the Regirock and the Solrock's level, and I change Regirock's IV spread so that each of Regirock's IVs is set to 0. You cannot configure IV values for individual stats, only how many IVs each stat gets. Changing the value in one place automatically updates it in the other place, such as the IV fields that I was just editing. Now I finished rounding out the moveset and item for the Regirock. I also tweak the Geodude a little bit so that it's more viable. Now I'm going to click the back arrow, until we get back to Roxanne's row in the trainer table. I will have to click the back button a lot of times, because editing the Pokemon's moves and items within the table tool and in the Hex content viewer mess with the logic on where the back button should take you. Here's how our changes are reflected in the large text box underneath the Pokemon field. Now let's engage in a Pokemon battle with this new trainer. What I'm going to do is click the green play button or press the F5 key to load the ROM in an emulator. My computer defaults to Visual Boy Advance when using this option, but MGBA is a better emulator. The trainer leads with the top 2 Pokemon in their list, and you will see Aerodactyl using Scary Face. In a moment, I'm going to quickly move the VBA window so you can see the Pokemon's movesets alongside the Pokemon in battle. Now you're seeing the other moves Roxanne's Pokemon can use. When we edited this trainer, we customized Roxanne to have those moves. Now Roxanne is using the fresh water we have given her. Bizarrely, Roxanne also uses her Soda Pop. Usually trainers only use 1 healing item per turn, if a Pokemon's at low HP. Lastly, Roxanne uses her final healing item, the Lemonade, and the Solrock ends the battle with a Choice Band boosted self-destruct. Okay, there are a couple of things I need to mention. So notice this Dugtrio. The ability in its ability 1 slot is Sandveil. All trainers that use a Dugtrio will always have a Dugtrio with the ability Sandveil, because all trainers will use the first ability slot for every Pokemon without any exceptions. There's no way to get it so that a trainer Pokemon has the second ability instead of the first. So if you want all Ductrio to use Arena Trap, you'll have to manually switch the two abilities around, which could break save compatibility. You may also notice that some moves have quotations around them while others do not. For instance, if you look at Fire Punch, since there is a space between the name to separate the words, Hex Maniac Advance requires that there be quotation marks around it so that it's actually parsable as one term instead of two. Magnitude is one word and thus does not need quotation marks. There is no other significance to quotation marks around the moves. With the exception of the Battle Frontier, all trainer Pokemon have 0 EVs in every stat. Other trainer editors confuse the IV field for the EV field. If you actually want trainers to EV train their Pokemon, you will need a third-party routine. Additionally, for every single trainer that's in this trainer table, none of the trainer Pokemon are capable of being shiny. Again, you will need a third-party routine to make that possible. There are a few attributes for trainers that I did not mention yet. First is the intro music and gender field. The music part ranges from 0 to 15, and it corresponds to a different music track that plays when you encounter this trainer in the overworld, not the music that plays in battle. Customizing that is possible, but that will not be in this tutorial. I can go to the names field and change Karen's name to Kendra. While each trainer's sprite is only shown as a number in the hex content viewer, you can hover over the byte and it will actually show you the image. Alternatively, you can look at the sprite in the table tool, click on it, and change it. Here I'm going to change the schoolgirl to a schoolboy, and change the name from Kendra to Kevin. And I uncheck the female checkbox. Honestly, this checkbox is kind of insignificant. All it does is set a preference for the gender of the trainer Pokemon that are going to be sent out. All male characters do not have this checkbox set. What is kind of bizarre is that when there are two people in one trainer slot, such as Tate and Liza, or a senior and junior, that trainer slot is treated as if it was an ordinary man. Lastly, there's a pointer to the trainer's Pokemon, and Hex Maniac Advance is smart enough to show you what Pokemon are actually there, so you can edit them directly in the table tool. Now I'm going to talk about trainer classes, like the leader class that Roxanne has. Other trainers will have different classes, such as Youngster or School Kid. The Pokemon games have a table full of trainer class names. To do that, you click the Go To button. In the Go To menu, type Trainer Classes, and click on Data, then Trainers, and the table you need to go to is data.trainers.classes.names. You will see a list of all of the trainer classes in the game. You can edit existing ones, such as Leader. I could change it to Gym Leader in the Table tool within that text field, or I could edit in the Hex Content Viewer as if I was editing any other text string. If you want to add more trainer classes to the game, all you do is you go to the very bottom of the trainer class table and click Add One New. Unlike a lot of major tables in the game, this one is safe to expand. If there are space constraints, Hex Maniac Advance will automatically move the trainer class table to a new area in the ROM. You'll be notified about the repoint. Pro tip, if your cursor switches to a capital I when you hover over the 1 and add one new, you could type a new value in to effectively expand the table by more than one item at a time. Now you can edit the new trainer classes at your leisure. I just picked a few trainer classes from later generations or from Pokemon Coliseum that I knew off the top of my head. Afterwards, I'm going to return to Roxanne's trainer data, and you will notice that Roxanne's trainer class got updated to Gym Leader. Click on the down arrowhead to show the drop-down list of other trainer classes that you can assign Roxanne. I changed it to one of the newly created ones. The next thing I'm going to talk about is prize money, how much money the player gets after defeating a Pokemon trainer. This is kind of complicated, so I'll try my best to explain it well. So, if you look at the prize money, there will be a number that shows how much money the trainer will get. In the case of Brawley, that's 1900. Click on How's it calculated. The way the equation is laid out looks kind of confusing to me. The equation is basically 4 times the money rate of the trainer class of the trainer times the level of the trainer's last Pokemon. So in this case, this Makuhita is level 19, and Brawly is still a gym leader. so thus, based on some calculations, you will get 1,900 Poke Yen after beating him. If I change the last level to level 0, you will not get any money at all. If I change it to level 100, you get 10,000 Poke Yen. Rich Boy gives me 20,000. If I click on this right arrowhead next to money rate, you will be taken to a new table which will show all of the trainers and a particular number that corresponds to how much money they would be willing to give the player. Real quick, if you want to make the table look the most ideal, set row width to 4 and click the rightmost button. It will force Hex Maniac Advance to not show multiple columns per row. This way you can see the entire trainer class's name without having to only see the first couple of letters until you see the ellipsis. At the very bottom you'll see a trainer class that just says 255. This just defines the default money rate for a trainer class that's not listed in this table. So if you expanded the trainer classes, their money rate will be the defaults unless you change it. You can edit the money rate field. In this case, I set the default to have a money rate of 60 so that trainers not on this list give a decent amount of money. You can also edit the money rates of existing trainer classes. Be careful, if you set this money rate value to a very high number, like the highest possible number, there will be a minor glitch that occurs if you defeat a trainer that gives over 100,000 yen. You could also change a trainer class within the trainer class tables, so I changed Twins to Street Performer. Now the Twins trainer class is part of the default catch-all. I advise you to keep the last entry at 255, just because, as I said before, that's the default money rate for a trainer class that's not listed above. Another quirk about trainer Pokemon editing that you'll find interesting is a trainer's struct type being automatically adjusted as you're adjusting the Pokemon's movesets and or held items. Watch me edit Bugcatcher Jose, or Jose, however you want to call it. He's the one on Route 116. Here you only see the level 8 Wurmple and the level 8 Nincada without any held items nor any indication of custom moves. Under the Wurmple, if I just type a hyphen, the struct type will automatically change to moves because Hex Maniac Advance thinks that I'm going to be assigning a custom moveset. You'll also notice the trainer team being repointed. Now I'm free to customize the moveset as I please. I can also give this Bugcatcher's Nincada some moves. Now if I click off this trainer and click on another row of attributes for a different trainer and click back, you will see that an empty move is filled in for Wurmple's 4th move slot. Now say I wanted to give at least one Pokemon a held item. Well, that's definitely possible without me changing the struct type in the struct type field. To do that, after a Pokemon's IV's number, press the shift key and then press 2 for a commercial @ The struct type changes to both. I type in the first few letters of the held item I want, and I select it from the list of filter results. Here's the new and improved trainer fight against that Bugcatcher. The Wurmple uses Signal Beam, a move I actually can't learn, and the Nincada activates its Lychee Berry. We can also do the opposite by selecting all of the text that corresponds to a Pokemon's held item. If we delete traces of it for all of the Pokemon, the struct type goes from both to moves. Furthermore, we can select all of the text that pertains to a Pokemon's moves, and if we get rid of all of those, then the struct type changes from moves to normal. Furthermore, if we select this 32 Linoon portion of this cool trainer's team and get rid of it, the trainer's Pokemon count field is automatically set to 1. I tried doing the reverse via copying and pasting, and it doesn't seem to work that way. Or does it? I just needed one extra new line before I can copy and paste. I just used the keyboard shortcuts here. Pokemon count also gets set to 2. Want to see me ruin Champion Wallace's team? I'll show you something that I haven't showed yet, but I did mention earlier in the video. Champion Wallace has a sweet team, and his Pokemon have above average movesets. If I scroll all the way to the bottom and click default moves, all of the custom movesets are wiped and replaced with the moves that these Pokemon get via level up. Ludicolo especially gets hit hard here. That's not all. If I click the default items button, that Milotic can kiss their Citrus Berry goodbye. Next up, trainer rematches. These work differently across the Generation 3 games. For Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, Rematches are handled in the individual NPC scripts, so instead of an NPC script that just has a trainer battle, it will have that trainer battle and a bunch of commands to check for specific flags, and if those flags are set, then it will initiate other trainer battles with stronger teams. That kind of stuff would be covered in a scripting tutorial. In Emerald, if a trainer has 5 different teams to account for rematches, you'll see 5 different trainer slots. The first one will usually be the main battle, and the other 4 slots are the optional rematch battles. Here I'm going to click on the trainer slot that corresponds to Biker Benjamin's first rematch. And I'm just going to replace the Magnemite with a Magneton and, I don't know, give it moves like Thunder, Rain Dance, etc. In Fire Red, rematches are a bit more sophisticated, and there's an actual table for rematches that maps certain trainers to their rematch teams. Type Versus Seeker into the Go To menu and go to Data, Trainers, and click Versus Seeker. There's a list of all of the trainers that can have rematches with you, and different match columns correspond to different stages of game progression. Wherever you see a 65,535, that's just a placeholder for if there's no need to change the trainer roster in that stage of the game. There are also fields for the map bank and map, and those correspond to the particular map that has the NPC that has the trainer that can be rematched. You can change the turquoise cells in this table to adjust exactly which trainer you want the player to fight at that stage in the game if you talk to the NPC again. Trainer editing is fun. What isn't fun is losing progress due to something going wrong when ROM editing. Fortunately, Hex Maniac Advance lets you make backups of your ROM. Click File, click Export Backup, and answer a prompt about your most recent change, and then you will have your backup. In the same directory as the ROM you've been editing, there will be a folder called Backups. Upon accessing it, you will find 2 new files. A backup of your ROM and a backup of your TOM-L file. Since the TOM-L file has important information about the metadata of your ROM, it's important to back this up alongside your actual GBA file. We're almost done, hang in there. Another table I'm going to introduce is the Trainer Sprites table. What I'm actually going to do is open Pokemon Fire Red's trainer table, and I'm going to click the right arrowhead that's right next to, in this case, the Aqua Leader sprite. Here's the table of all of the trainer sprites in the game. What I'm actually going to do is export one of the sprites, because I'm going to edit the trainer table in Emerald. What you can also do is import a sprite from another game, or click the edit button to open the image editor, if that's the route you want to go. For this demo, I'm going to be exporting this lady sprite to replace the sprite that's in Emerald. You can click Export and click Single Page. Give your image file a name and save it in whatever folder you want. You can also click All Table to export all of the sprites at once, but I'm not going to do that, but you could if you want. Now that I exported the sprite I want, I'm going to go to Pokemon Emerald and do the same thing as before. Go to the Trainer Sprites table. I'm going to replace this lady sprite. So what I'm going to do is click the Import button, and it will directly take me to the file location that has my lady sprite from Fire Red. The replacement happened instantaneously. Now I'm going to hover over the other sprites for the trainers and make sure that they don't get corrupted, which can happen. Remember, we make backups of our ROMs. Okay, we're good. What I'm going to do next is expand the trainer sprites table. And the process of doing so is the same as the trainer classes table. This one is safe to expand. It might be hard to notice, but we just made multiple copies of the same May sprite. Editing any data about one of these sprites will edit the rest of them. And the solution to that is for each of the repoint buttons that you see in the table tool, click it and click all of them. Now you can edit or replace the new May sprites with sprites of your own choosing, without it affecting the other ones. If you use a trainer sprite that you didn't make on your own, be sure to credit the original creator. In this case, I would credit the developer of Pokemon Fire Red. Alright, this is the last thing I'm going to be talking about in this tutorial. Pokemon Emerald has a special trainer battle that is basically a multi-battle where you team up with Steven, and you can customize Steven's Pokemon in that fight. Here you'll see a short table that has information about all 3 Pokemon that Steven has. You can customize the species, its IVs, its EVs, its levels, and the moves. Due to a glitch in the game, changing the nature field does nothing to the actual Pokemon, but there's a .hma script that fixes that. There's another tutorial on applying .hma scripts, but you basically just drag and drop the Steven bug fix HMA file that's included in the download onto your ROM, and you can edit the nature as normal. In the background, I was configuring Metagross's EVs, moves, IVs, levels, etc. I could also customize the stuff for Skarmory in the table tool. By the way, you cannot expand how many trainers there are in the game without side effects such as this. There would also be complications with the save data. So if you want new trainers, you have to replace existing ones. Phew, we've reached the end of this tutorial. This was a really long one, and I'm so sorry about that. But you definitely learned a lot about trainer editing and the various tables that you can edit and customize to your liking. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you look at the other tutorials that other Hex Maniac Advance users and I have posted. Go to the description and find the tutorials page on Hex Maniac Advance's GitHub, and you'll find them all. Also, join our Discord so you have access to even newer versions of Hex Maniac Advance, you can talk with us, and you can submit bugs if you ever find them. This is Starstruck Shiny signing out.